Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The dilemma manifested as a navy blue dress, a simple garment now transformed into a symbol of defeat. Aiden's fingers trembled as they grazed the delicate fabric, a stark contrast to their usual attire of rugged jeans and worn-out cotton tees. It was just a bet, a silly wager on a football game, but the consequences felt monumental in that moment. "Oh, come on, you can't back out now!" Ryan's taunting laughter seeped through the door, an unwelcome reminder of the bet's terms.
Time to face the music, and I plan to make the most of it.
As Aiden's hesitant hand clasped the dress, their mind raced with regret. The Browns' loss had sealed their fate, and they knew there was no escaping the day's peculiar endeavor. After several awkward minutes of struggling with zippers and adjustments, the transformation continued with the nude pumps that Ryan had somehow procured in the correct size. Most challenging was the brunette wig, with its loose waves cascading just past the shoulders. Standing before the mirror, Aiden barely recognized the reflection staring back. The person in the glass wasn't Aiden anymore. She was someone else entirely. "I look different," mumbled the figure in the mirror, turning slightly to see how the dress flowed. "Holy shit!" Ryan exclaimed when the bathroom door finally opened. "You actually look good. Like, really good. We should call you something else for today. How about Clara?" Clara. The name rolled off the tongue with surprising ease. "Fine. Let's get this humiliation over with." The walk to Ryan's car was excruciating. Each step in the heels a precarious journey. Every house on the street seemed to have eyes watching from behind curtains. "Stop walking like you're on stilts," Ryan advised, driving toward the mall.
"Smaller steps. You're supposed to be Clara today, not Aiden trying to walk in heels."
"Easy for you to say," Clara muttered, adjusting the wig for the 20th time. "You're not the one dressed up as someone else." But something strange happened as they entered the sprawling shopping center. Among the crowd of weekend shoppers, no one gave Clara a second glance, at least not for the reasons she feared. Instead, an older woman smiled and said, "That dress is absolutely darling on you, honey." Clara froze momentarily before managing a small, "Thank you." "See?" Ryan nudged with a grin. "You're passing with flying colors." "Passing wasn't the goal," Clara hissed, but couldn't deny the odd flutter of pleasure the compliment had sparked. As they wandered through department stores, Clara gradually stopped clutching Ryan's arm. The heels became marginally easier to navigate, and the constant fear of being found out began to fade. In a cosmetics store, a cheerful sales associate approached. "Your foundation is perfect for your skin tone. What brand are you using?" Clara panicked, but Ryan smoothly interjected. "My friend is trying a new look today. Would you mind giving her some tips?" Before she could protest, Clara found herself seated at a makeup counter, receiving gentle instructions on blending techniques and color coordination. The associate's hands moved expertly, adding subtle touches to enhance the hastily applied makeup from that morning. "There," the woman said, holding up a mirror. "Just a few adjustments make all the difference." Looking at her reflection, Clara saw a face transformed not by dramatic changes, but by skillful refinement. She looked pretty. There was no other word for it. "Thank you," Clara said, her voice softer than before. Ryan insisted on buying the recommended products, adding them to the growing collection of small bags they carried. "For authenticity," he claimed with a wink. By lunchtime, seated in the food court with Chinese takeout, Clara realized she'd stopped constantly checking for stares or whispers. Instead, she found herself observing other women, how they sat, how they ate, how they laughed. Without thinking, she adjusted her posture, crossing her legs at the ankles.
"You're really getting into this,"
Ryan observed around a mouthful of orange chicken. "I'm just adapting," Clara replied, dabbing at her lips with a napkin to preserve the lipstick.
"Might as well be convincing if I have to do this all day."
They continued their mall expedition, wandering into stores Clara would never have entered as Aiden. In a boutique filled with flowing fabrics and delicate accessories, Clara found herself drawn to a scarf in shades of blue that complemented the dress perfectly.
"You should get it,"
said a voice behind her. A store employee smiled encouragingly. "It brings out your eyes." Clara hesitated, looking at the price tag. "I don't know. Try it on," the woman insisted, taking the scarf and demonstrating how to loop it artfully around Clara's neck. "See? Beautiful." The reflection in the nearby mirror showed someone confident, stylish, someone Clara barely recognized yet somehow knew intimately. Without overthinking, she purchased the scarf, ignoring Ryan's raised eyebrows. "What?" Clara challenged as they exited the store. "If I have to be Clara today, I might as well look good."
"No complaints here," Ryan laughed. "You're taking this way better than I expected."
As afternoon stretched on, Clara received more compliments on her dress, her hair, even the way she moved. Each positive comment built upon the last, constructing something unexpected: confidence. In a shoe store, Clara found herself admiring a pair of flats that would be infinitely more comfortable than the heels she'd been tottering around in all day. "Those would look great with your dress," commented a stylish woman browsing nearby. "The navy would really pop against the burgundy." "You think so?" Clara asked, genuinely interested in the woman's opinion. "Absolutely. You have great style." The conversation flowed naturally into recommendations for other accessories, and Clara realized with a start that she was having an authentic interaction, woman to woman, without fear or pretense. After purchasing the flats and changing into them, much to her feet's relief, Clara walked with a new lightness. The wig no longer felt like a costume, but simply her hair. The dress no longer a punishment, but simply her outfit.
"You want to grab coffee?"
Ryan suggested, checking his watch. "We still have a couple hours before our agreement is up." "Actually," Clara said, admiring a display in a jewelry store window, "can we look in here first?" Ryan's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded.
"Lead the way."
Inside, among gleaming cases of necklaces and earrings, Clara felt drawn to a simple pendant, a silver star on a delicate chain. The sales associate removed it from the case, holding it up. "May I?" Clara asked, reaching for it. The cool metal felt grounding in her palm. Without analyzing why, she knew she wanted it, not as part of the bet, not as part of the costume, but simply because she, Clara, liked it. With the pendant around her neck and the new scarf artfully arranged, Clara sipped a latte across from Ryan, who was studying her with open curiosity. "What?" she asked, suddenly self-conscious. "You're different," he observed. "Not just the clothes, something else." Clara considered this, stirring her drink thoughtfully. "I feel different. It's weird, but I actually feel good." "Good how?" I don't know. More comfortable, maybe? Less like I'm walking around in someone else's skin. She paused, realizing the irony. Even though I'm literally dressed as someone else. Ryan leaned back in his chair.
Maybe it's not someone else. Maybe it's just a different part of you.
The statement hung between them, profound in its simplicity. As evening approached and the mall began to empty, Clara found herself reluctant to leave. Each step toward the exit felt like a step back, toward a reality she wasn't sure she wanted to return to. In the car, Ryan broke the silence.
So, bet fulfilled. You survived a day as Clara. What did you learn?
Clara gazed out the window, watching the world pass by.
I learned that people respond to confidence. All day, I was afraid someone would see through the disguise, would laugh or point or make me feel ashamed. But the more I stopped worrying about that and just existed, the more natural everything felt.
Ryan nodded, turning onto their street.
And how do you feel about going back to being Aiden?
The question hit with unexpected force. Clara touched the silver star pendant at her neck, thinking of the way the store employee had smiled when clasping it for her, saying it looked perfect.
I don't know, she admitted quietly.
Back at the apartment, Clara stood in the bathroom, looking at her reflection. The makeup was still flawless, the brunette waves framing her face in a way that felt right. The navy dress that had seemed so intimidating that morning now felt like a second skin. A soft knock at the door.
You okay in there?
Ryan called. Yeah, Clara answered. Just thinking. About? Clara opened the door, still fully dressed as she had been all day. What if I don't want to stop being Clara? Ryan's expression softened.
Then don't. It's not that simple. Why not?
Ryan leaned against the doorframe.
What's stopping you?
Clara gestured vaguely. Society? Expectations? The fact that I have a job where people know me as Aiden? The entire structure of my life up until today?
Fair points,
Ryan conceded.
But you've seemed happier today than I've seen you in months, maybe years.
Clara couldn't argue with that observation. Throughout the day, something had uncoiled within her, a tension she hadn't even realized she'd been carrying. I need to think, she said finally.
Take all the time you need,
Ryan replied, squeezing her shoulder gently. The wig looks good on you, by the way, but your own hair would probably look even better grown out. That night, lying in bed, still wearing the star pendant, Clara stared at the ceiling. The dress hung carefully in the closet, the wig placed on a stand that Ryan had improvised from a rolled-up towel. The makeup had been removed with the cleansing products they'd purchased, but the memory of that face remained vivid. Morning came with decision. Clara woke early, showered, and dressed in jeans and a button-down shirt. The silver pendant remained around her neck, a small token of the previous day. When Ryan emerged from his room, he paused, taking in the sight.
Back to Aiden today?
For now, came the reply. But I've been thinking. Over coffee, plans formed. Small steps. Growing out hair that had always been kept short. Researching. Learning. Understanding the feelings that had been buried for so long. The following weeks unfolded in subtle transformations. Clothing choices shifted gradually. Nothing dramatic, but more thoughtful selections that felt right. Hair appointments replaced the quick cuts at the barbershop. The star pendant became a daily accessory. At work, Comments about the longer hair were deflected with casual references to changing styles. Few noticed the subtle shifts in mannerisms or speech patterns. It was as if Clara was slowly emerging from within, revealing herself one small choice at a time. 3 months after the mall trip, standing before the mirror in a modest blouse and jeans, brown hair now brushing past the ears in a style that could be read as either fashionably masculine or subtly feminine, Clara made another decision. "I think it's time," she told Ryan over dinner that evening. "For what?" "To be Clara, not just at home or on weekends, all the time." Ryan nodded, unsurprised. "What's your plan?" Clara explained the research she'd done, the therapist she'd begun seeing, the steps ahead. "It won't be easy," she acknowledged, "but pretending to be someone I'm not is harder." "For what it's worth," Ryan said, raising his glass in a small toast, "Clara suits you way better than Aiden ever did." The journey that followed was indeed not easy. There were difficult conversations with family, strained interactions with old friends who struggled to understand, paperwork and medical consultations, and 1,000 small challenges. But through it all, the navy dress hung in the closet, not as a costume or the result of a lost bet, but as a reminder of the day clarity had arrived. 6 months later, Clara stood in a different mall, shopping alone. Her brown hair, now grown past her shoulders, was styled in loose waves that framed her face naturally. The silver star pendant gleamed at her throat, complementing a burgundy blouse paired with dark jeans and the comfortable flats she'd purchased on that pivotal day. As she browsed through a rack of dresses, a sales associate approached with a warm smile. "The emerald green would look stunning with your coloring," she suggested, pointing to a flowing maxi dress. "Thank you," Clara replied, her voice comfortable in its practiced cadence. "I think I'll try it." In the dressing room, slipping the green dress over her head, Clara caught her reflection and paused. The person in the mirror was neither the uncomfortable Aiden forced into a dress for a bet, nor the uncertain Clara taking her first steps into authenticity. This was simply her. Clara, whole and integrated, the outside finally matching the inside. Emerging from the dressing room, she twirled slightly, enjoying the way the fabric moved. The associate clapped her hands together in delight. "It's perfect on you!" "I'll take it," Clara decided, not just about the dress, but about the life she'd chosen. That evening, meeting Ryan for dinner at a restaurant they'd never visited before, Clara received compliments on her new dress from the hostess and a woman at a neighboring table. Each kind word settled comfortably, no longer surprising or disorienting. "You look happy," Ryan observed across the table. "I am," Clara confirmed, touching the familiar pendant at her neck. "It's strange. I spent so many years thinking confidence was something I just didn't have, something other people were born with. Turns out I had it all along. I just needed to be myself to access it." "To Clara," Ryan raised his glass, "who was apparently there all along." Clara smiled, clinking her glass against his. "To losing bets that help you win at life." Walking home through the evening streets, Clara reflected on the unexpected journey of the past 9 months. The navy dress that had started it all now hung in her closet alongside others, no longer special except for the memories it held. The reluctant steps in too high heels had given way to confident strides in shoes chosen for both style and comfort. The borrowed wig had been donated, replaced by her own brown waves that felt exactly right framing her face. Most significantly, The fear had evaporated. Fear of judgment, of discovery, of not belonging. In its place stood something stronger, the certainty that authenticity was its own form of courage, and that the confidence she'd found that day in the mall hadn't come from the clothes, but from finally glimpsing her true self. A year to the day after the bet, Clara wore the navy dress again, this time by choice, paired with the silver star pendant that had become her signature accessory. Standing in front of the mirror, she smiled at her reflection. "Nice to finally meet you," she whispered to herself. Her phone chimed with a text from Ryan. "Happy anniversary! Browns are playing tonight. Want to make a bet?" Clara laughed, typing back, "No thanks. I already won the most important one." Slipping on comfortable shoes, no precarious heels this time, she headed out into the world, each step assured, each moment authentic, the confidence that had always been within her now radiating outward for all to see. The navy blue dress moved with her, no longer a disguise but simply an outfit, chosen by a woman who had finally found herself. The mall was bustling when she arrived, meeting Ryan by the fountain where they'd paused for a rest during that fateful day. He grinned when he spotted her, giving an approving thumbs up to the outfit. "Full circle," he commented as they began walking. "Almost," Clara corrected. "Some circles just keep growing." As they passed the jewelry store where she'd purchased her pendant, Clara paused, something catching her eye in the window. A display of delicate charm bracelets glimmered under the lights, each one unique. "Want to look?" Ryan asked, following her gaze. Inside, Clara selected a silver bracelet, adding 2 charms, a tiny dress and a star that matched her pendant. "Meaningful?" the jeweler asked as he boxed it up. "Very," Clara replied. A reminder of how one day can change everything. Later, as they shared coffee at the same cafe from a year ago, Ryan studied her thoughtfully. "Any regrets about any of it?" Clara considered the question, running her fingers over the new bracelet on her wrist. "Only that it took a lost bet for me to find what was missing. But no regrets about becoming who I always was." "For what it's worth," Ryan said, "I think you were always Clara. You just needed permission to see it." "Maybe," Clara agreed. "Or maybe I just needed to give myself permission." The evening wound down with dinner at a restaurant they'd never tried before. As they waited for their food, a woman approached their table, slightly hesitant. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said, "but I just wanted to tell you that your dress is absolutely beautiful. Navy has always been my favorite color, but I've never found one that drapes so perfectly." Clara smiled, the compliment settling comfortably. "Thank you. It's special to me." After the woman left, Ryan shook his head in amusement. "A year later, and you're still getting compliments on that dress." "The dress is the same," Clara replied. "I'm the one who's different." And she was. The person who had reluctantly donned that dress a year ago had been a shell, going through the motions of a life that never quite fit. The woman sitting across from Ryan now was complete, eyes bright with authenticity, posture relaxed with self-acceptance, voice confident in its truth. As they walked home under starry skies, Clara reflected on the unexpected journey. What had begun as a humiliating consequence of a lost bet had transformed into the most valuable win of her life. The navy dress had been a doorway, not a destination, a threshold she'd crossed from obligation but had chosen not to return through. "What are you thinking about?" Ryan asked, noticing her contemplative expression. Clara touched the silver star at her throat, a gesture that had become almost unconscious over the past year. I'm thinking about how sometimes we don't know what we need until it finds us, even if it comes disguised as something we think we don't want. Ryan nodded, understanding in his eyes.
2 unexpected blessings,
he said, mimicking a toast.
To being Clara,
she replied, smiling up at the night sky, where real stars mirrored the ones she carried with her always. A constant reminder that the confidence she'd found wasn't about gender or clothing or makeup, but about embracing who she truly was inside. Back at their apartment, Clara carefully hung the navy dress in her closet, smoothing the fabric with grateful hands. It had traveled with her from that first reluctant day through every step of her journey, a tangible reminder of the transformation that had begun with a lost bet, but had become a found life. Her phone chimed with a message from her parents, confirming plans for her visit the following weekend. The relationship had been strained at first, confusion giving way to hesitant acceptance, and gradually to genuine support. Each family dinner grew more comfortable, each conversation more natural, as they came to know and love Clara, just as they had loved the person they'd known before. Sitting at her vanity, Clara removed her makeup with practiced ease, each movement automatic after months of daily routine. The face that emerged was her own, the same features that had always been there, now alight with contentment rather than shadowed by discomfort. A knock at her bedroom door preceded Ryan's voice. "Got a minute?" "Come in," she called, turning from the mirror. Ryan entered, holding a small gift bag. "I was going to save this for breakfast, but I'm too impatient." Clara accepted the bag curiously. Inside was a photo frame, elegantly simple. The photograph it contained made her breath catch, a candid shot from that first day at the mall. Clara looking slightly overwhelmed, but undeniably alive. Standing before a store window in the navy dress, the light catching the hesitant smile that had begun to form. "How did you—"
"I took it when you weren't paying attention," Ryan admitted. "Something told me the day was important. Even then."
Clara touched the image gently, seeing both how far she'd come and how much of her true self had already been visible, emerging despite the fear and uncertainty. "Thank you," she said softly. "For the photo, and for the bet, and for everything after." Ryan shrugged, a gesture that downplayed the significance of his unwavering support throughout her journey.
"I just gave you a nudge. You did the hard part."
After he left, Clara placed the framed photo on her nightstand, where it would be the last thing she saw before sleeping, and the first thing she saw upon waking, a reminder of beginnings and courage and the power of becoming. The navy dress hung in her closet, no longer a costume, but a cherished garment with a story woven into its threads. The silver star pendant rested in its jewelry box for the night, its significance undiminished. And Clara herself lay in the darkness, wholly and completely herself, the confidence she'd discovered that day, now as much a part of her as her brown hair, or the curve of her smile. The bet had been lost, but Clara had been found, and in that discovery, everything had been won.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!